Hey, welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls. Sorry about the technical difficulties we had there. Want to get started again here and welcome my very special guest, Will Murphy. Welcome back to the show. We had a little bit of a tech glitch there. It happens. That's life. So, as I said earlier, let's just kind of recount what we were talking about. Where you were born and raised is
Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Lincoln,
Good
Rhode
old.
Island.
Yep.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
small town USA.
Small town USA, right? With big problems. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I was saying, I owe a lot. I was talking about sports and how I grew up playing sports, and that was my first love, and I owe a lot to that, to my parents, to push me in the right direction, to mold the man who I am today. Because with sports comes responsibilities, comes, practicing, and practice makes perfect. I mean, you got to put in the hours, put in the drills, and do it, and just do it. And then they were able to, I don't know how they do it, because I got kids today, but they were able to bring me, places 6 hours away for tournaments, 3 hours here, 3 hours there, after school. There was a lot of stuff that they did for me, to build my foundation. So overall, a great upbringing, a great childhood. I have nothing, bad to say about my childhood. It was amazing. It was.
Wow.
I wouldn't change anything for where I grew up, how I started my life, and that's a little bit of the beginning of where I was.
So you grew up in Rhode Island. Did you guys ever move, or did you stay in the same house, same neighborhood, same?
Same house, same neighborhood, same friends.
Wow.
For forever. My dad was a teacher. He taught auto body, so at a trade school.
Oh, okay.
So he was a teacher, athletic director, coach. So that's kind of where,
Wow.
when I was 2 years old, I had a basketball in my hand, and my mom was a school to work coordinator at the same high school with my father. So,
Wow.
they from there. My dad just retired recently, so 30 years in, doing the same thing day in, day out, putting the grind. And
Wow.
I've been there. I was there my whole life until I moved out, when I got a little older.
That's incredible, dude. So man, it sounds like the Leave It to Beaver show. Like you were like just the all-American family and upbringing. And so did you like after high school, did you go on to college?
I did, and that's where it gets a little fun, right? College is supposed to be where you go to learn, where you go to put in the work, you go to class, right? What does society teach us these days? You graduate high school, you go to college, you get a job, you buy the house, the white picket fence, the dog, you get married, or whatever order you want to do it in.
Yep.
And society molded that, right? I'm not saying anything bad about the advice, people gave me, but that's what I was molded to do, right? After high school, passed high school by the skin of my teeth. I had to pass a English test. I had to get like a 72, literally, and I did. And
Wow.
I went to college. I went to Plymouth State in New Hampshire.
Okay.
So at that time, right, Plymouth State was known to be a party school, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I was a partier. So I went to Plymouth State, and that's in New Hampshire, where I live now. But I went up there and immediately jumped in with 2 feet like I did before. I played football for a little bit, but ended up, quitting the team because I had more important things to do at college. And,
Yeah.
that was the party, and I partied hard, we'll just say, and that was the life I lived for a long time.
So you went. Is New Hampshire north of Rhode Island?
Yeah, New Hampshire is so the college I went to was about a 2.5 hour drive north, heading towards Canada on Route 93.
Okay.
New Hampshire. So it was a quick 2.5 hour drive in the mountains. New Hampshire is there's mountains everywhere, very peaceful. It's
Yeah.
totally different than Rhode Island. Rhode Island's hustle bustle, traffic everywhere. New Hampshire, it's like Zen. It's so peaceful up here,
Yeah.
and you live in a peaceful area though, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not mountains. We live in flat Ohio.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but we're out in the middle of nowhere, so it's nice. It's very, very peaceful. But I've heard that whole area. I've never been to Rhode Island. I've never been, and the only thing I know about Rhode Island is what was that Jim Carrey movie where he
Dumb and Dumber.
is it aren't they in Rhode Island or?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
There's one of that doggy looking the dog car that they drove.
yeah.
I think it was in Rhode Island somewhere, but then they go down 95 and they pass that big blue bug.
Yeah.
That's a Rhode Island icon. We have Dell's Lemonade. We have hot dogs, but they call them wieners in Rhode Island.
Really?
And you've never had a hot dog until you have a wiener. I'll let you know that. Right?
Wow.
A,
Nice.
a wiener is something where it's a bun, it's a hot dog. They spread a little mustard, and then they put this sauce on it, and it's just like you'll never taste a better put
Wow.
together hot dog in your life.
Okay,
Honestly.
you're making me hungry now, dude. So you went to college, and things you started partying and doing all that stuff. Did you graduate college?
I didn't, man. I was there for 4 years, right? And this I'll set this up for the rest of my story here. I tried in college, right? I really, really wanted to succeed. I wanted to start something and finish something because I've never done that in my life. I was always one to start something, and once I get to a point where it gets hard,
Yeah.
right? I quit and I
Yeah.
stopped and I put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
So, paint a picture, year 4 in college, I had 17 credits left. So I had to go back the next semester to get I was a gym teacher, gym major. So I was
Yeah.
going to be swinging a whistle and teaching kids gym and running and whatever. But
Yeah.
that was me. That was my dream. I want to follow, the footsteps of my parents. But anyway, so they allow you to walk. So I can literally walk across the stage. And what do they give you? They give you a diploma case.
Yeah.
So I got a case, but what's not in it? There's no diploma in this case. So walking across that it's like a fraud, right? That's
Yeah.
how I feel looking back today. That I was a fraud. I was a fraud in life. I did all this footwork to walk across a stage in 2004, and I was a fraud. I never got a diploma. I went home for that summer. I tried to go back the 5th year, so it was the 4.5 super senior, they call it.
Yeah.
And it was different, Ken. I mean, all my friends moved on.
Right.
All my friends got jobs. All my friends were responsible. They started to get married. They started to do the society things
Yeah.
that, they got molded into do. And they were doing that. And, that's where, my life changed. I fell behind, and, I never finished that semester, and I went home back to Rhode Island in 2005, and essentially that's where my life kind of took a whole 360,
Yeah.
and went to some bad spots in my life.
So you were a 5th year senior? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, baby.
So
5th year.
Huh?
Yeah, 5th year senior. That's
All
what they
right.
call them.
So you did all that, and you didn't get a diploma.
Nope. Fortunately
Um,
not. Fortunately not.
Or what?
Unfortunately, no. I mean,
okay.
it wasn't. I tried to go back to Rhode Island College to,
Finish.
do the drill and
Yeah.
finish it out, but I didn't have the drive. I didn't have I don't know. There was just something missing in my life at that point. And one of the main things that I look back and I was a partier, and that followed me from my freshman year all the way to 2005, where I started to drink a lot and just keep drinking and drinking and drinking. And, I ended up with a pretty bad problem, which pretty much halted my life. It halted my way of thinking. It halted the way my goals, my mindset, and how I wanted to accomplish things. I just could never get over that hump because I was always, instead of taking 2 steps forward, I was always taking 2 steps back.
Yep.
And I never got a hold of it. And it really literally took control of my life, at that point. And, I had a lot of struggles. And as we just break through walls, I couldn't quite break through that wall in my life to get to the other side. And I was stuck.
Yeah.
Literally, I was stuck.
Yeah.
And that's 2005. I was stuck.
So you went through, so let's see, you were what, 24, 25-ish?
2005, I was, 23, 24
okay.
years old.
Okay. And your life was not going well. Things I feel like that's an understatement.
Yeah, things are getting bad.
Yeah.
I went back to Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I found the same people in Rhode Island that I had at Plymouth State. Right, the same people that would drink all hours of the night, that would party, that wanted to stay out for 2 days and they had nothing to look forward to. They had nothing to do, no jobs, no goals, no focus, and I water seeps its own level, and that's where I just ended up. It was the bottom of the bottom, and just trying to open my eyes every single morning, feeling stuck is the worst feeling that you could have as a human being.
Yeah.
Right? Not knowing a way out, not knowing who to ask for help, not even wanting to ask for help because you're embarrassed of the stigma that people put on, an alcoholic or a drug addict, back then and now, right? That stigma is huge. And that stigma kills people today, unfortunately.
It does, man. It does. Yeah. And excuse me. So, pardon me. So at the old age of 23, 24 years old, your life stinks. I would imagine at some point it hit the low point. Tell me what happened. What was the catalyst?
Yeah, man. So ages 24 to 27, those 3 years was just like Groundhog Day, waking up every single day, doing the same stuff over and over again. The insanity of the disease of alcoholism and addiction was, doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that's how I lived my life. No drive, no mindset. My mindset was gone, right? I just wanted to figure out what I needed to do that day to get me through to the next day. I had no long-term goals, and those 3 years were hell, right?
Yeah.
Day in and day out, a living hell.
Yeah.
And it ended up in 2009. So May 9th, 2009, I had enough, right? I had enough. I had to do something. I had to figure out how to not hurt any more loved ones in my life, how to not hurt any more friends, how to, I burnt every bridge that I had in my life, and I had to figure that out. So, I decided to, for the first time, to take care of myself, right? I didn't want to do it for anyone else. I didn't need to do it for my parents. I didn't need to do it for my brother, sister, aunts, uncles. I needed to do it for myself. And I ended up going to a rehab on May 9th, 2009, and it was a 90-day rehab. I stayed there, and I listened. Right, I've been to many rehabs before and detoxes and all that stuff.
Oh, had you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that 3 years, I could go deep into the story, but we could be here all day. But yeah, I had a lot of trouble, getting sober.
Yeah.
Multiple tries, multiple attempts. And at that point, I was doing it for other people, right? I was doing it for my parents. I was doing it for my brother. I was doing it for my sister. Not my sister. I don't have a sister. My aunt. I was doing it for other people. But this time in May 9th, 2009, I did it for myself. And that's the only way I think, in my heart that you can beat this, thing to get sober. And I did that, stayed there for 90 days, and I started to do the next right thing. I followed, some suggestions that people gave me, and
Boy, that's tough, isn't it?
yeah, man, it's hard going from I was homeless,
Yeah.
2009,
Yeah.
homeless. I had a car, no money. I had clothes on my back. I was
Yeah.
literally homeless, living in my car, and I had nothing. I was, the scoreboard read 0, and I was done. I was beat up, and that was my rock. They call it rock bottom. That was my rock bottom. I had nowhere to go but up at that point in May
Wow.
9th, 2009, and you know, and from what I did then, I just started doing the next right thing. And after that, after 2009, so I went to rehab, and then I started to go back to this thing called life, right?
Yeah.
This thing called life
Yeah.
that I didn't live the previous, I don't know, 15 years of my life
Yeah.
because I was living in a fantasy. I was living a fantasy that it wasn't real life, right? Balancing a checkbook, right? A credit card. A credit card was like a foreign entity to me. I didn't even know, I got those things that were a plastic card that I used to just max out. Like, what is that? What is that thing?
Right. Right.
Just to learn how to live and how to feel and how to conversate with people that, I was messed up before when I was talking to people, and my feelings, they tended to be stuffed. And once they start coming to the surface, that's when shit gets real. And that's when
Right.
you really start to, break through that wall of life. And
I can remember I can remember because I was in treatment in a treatment center in 2000, and I can remember somebody saying, you're going to have all these emotions and feelings that you've never had because you've been drunk for so long. And I remember somebody saying sober is an acronym for son of a bitch, everything's real. like all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I have to feel, I have to so I can relate to that, bro. So congratulations to you for that.
appreciate that.
What's your sobriety date?
May 9th, 2009.
Okay.
So,
Perfect, dude. Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
I just celebrated 9 years, couple months, May 9th.
Yeah.
So 2 months ago, celebrated 9 years, and
Wow.
it's been a ride, and that 9 years, I'll tell you, goes by like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You start to do life, and we have these promises we look at, from in programs I go to that, those things start to come true.
Yeah.
If you put in the work and you do the right thing, you help other people, you put your hand out and actually care about other people,
Yep.
and not just be selfish, that the selfish person that I was, previous in life. And, it's been a great 9-year ride.
Yeah.
I've done a lot in the last 9 years. This gets into my entrepreneur side. I was always an entrepreneur. But I jumped into this entrepreneur thing with 2 feet, and that's the only way to do that with my mindset, with my mind, with my addiction, quote unquote, addictive personality. I just needed to go.
Yeah.
Go. And, I chose the entrepreneur life, and that's the only life that I know as of right now. And, it's been great.
So, and again, I want, because this show reaches a lot of people, not just on Facebook, but on the TV network. 4 or 5 million people might see this, and I want to make sure that people know that if you've ever struggled with addiction, whether it be drugs or alcohol or whatever it is, it's not easy. it's the first I know for me the first couple of years were I'm gonna say the first 5 years for me were like, what in the heck is going on here? Like, it's like, and so it's not easy, but it's worth it. Just like anything, like it's not, you still like, I heard a comedian one time talking about, that a lot of people in recovery walk around like they, deserve a medal for no longer getting DUIs and getting arrested and hurting people, and like, dude, you don't, it's like, normal people are like, oh, good, you don't drink. All right, good. And like, what else do you do? Right.
And
so, but I can relate to all of it. I mean, I'm coming up on 16 years sober, and it's unbelievable to me to this day. Like, I'm like, how did that happen? Because there was a time for many, many years for me. I was 34 when I quit. So, there were many years where it was like, dude, I can't relate to people that don't drink. Like, what do you do for fun? Like, how do you even exist on this planet and you don't drink? That's not real to me. So, and now today it is, obviously, but, I want people to know from your perspective as well that, you don't just get sober. There isn't a magical switch. You have to actually do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they call it the void, right? So you're still you. You take away alcohol and drugs, and there's a void in your being. I mean, that was you can look at it, that was your best friend for so long, for all these years that you abused that, drugs and alcohol. Once you take that away, you're not automatically snap of the fingers well, right? You need to put in the work.
Have you heard this? You take away the alcohol from the alcoholic and you still have to deal with the ick.
Yep. Yeah. Right? Absolutely. And it's that ick is you're like, you crunch up and like you start thinking of things the real things that you did that, your mind just goes everywhere. Yeah. Your mind is a mess. They call it a cloud. You're in a phase, or your mind is so boggled once you start to get sober that you don't know which is up, which is down. They call it mocus, right? You're sitting at the end of your bed. You got one sock and one sock on, one sock off. You don't know if you're getting out of bed or just sitting down going to bed. Yeah. So, you're confused, and and that's where people like us with sobriety come into play that can stick their hand out and talk about experiences that we had when we first started to get sober that will help other people along their journey. Because at the end of the day, it's a journey. You get a point A, and then you're starting a whole new life. In my case, and the book is being written day by day as you go along. They always say, don't judge me on the chapter you walked in on, and that's a lot of people unfortunately do that. Yeah. But my book is still being, written day by day, and there's a lot of things that I have to accomplish. There's still a lot of things you have to accomplish, and, we're doing the best that we can, as a person on a daily basis, to get this thing called life. And that's what it's about,
It is, dude. It is. So so you got sober. I don't know how long you were sober when you decided to become an entrepreneur, but maybe you'd like to share that.
Yeah, I pretty much immediately, right? Because I didn't have anything else, right? I had to go. I had a car. That's all I had, and I had a library next to my house. I didn't have internet, didn't have a phone. I was literally broke. I was broken. Wow. I was. So I had to fend for myself. I had to hustle. I had to do whatever I needed to do to provide, food. I had to pay the bills. I had to put in the work. Yeah. So So the first thing I did, I went directly to the library. I went on Craigslist and I applied for jobs. And I applied for 15, 20 jobs, finally got a call back, got an interview, and I worked on a junk truck, going into houses, picking
Wow.
up junk. And
Wow.
that changed my life. It's kind of corny to say, but I worked on a junk truck and, with junk comes treasures, right? So people are throwing away good stuff all the time.
Yep.
So, my attitude, my mindset was like, if they're throwing away this junk, I can sell this junk. So right there, I had an eBay business, an Amazon business. So after work, after making my $7.25 minimum wage on the back of a junk truck, I would take the junk, the good stuff, and I would put it on eBay. I would put it on Amazon. And, that first year, I cleared $90,000 part-time selling junk, and that's where my life took off. That's where I knew that I had this bug, that I knew I could make something out of nothing, that I knew that if I got in front of the right people and I knew the right people and I made a business plan and I did the right thing, that I could put something together. And in 2011, I started a pawn shop. So, I went from
Wow.
selling junk on the back of a junk truck to actually buying people's junk and
Wow.
reselling it in my pawn shop. And, that was just an eye-opening. This is how business oriented I am. I got married on June 25th, 2011.
Yeah.
I opened my pawn shop on June 26th, 2011.
Oh my
So,
God.
I love you, my wife. No, but she
Wow.
understands. She understands, and she knows that, what I needed to do and what my steps that I do on a day. I take business very serious, right?
Yeah.
I don't, you need to take business, you need to take entrepreneurship, you need to take day by day as serious as possible, because you could lose everything at any moment in time, and you need to take day by day serious. And that's what I do, and that's what I live for. So.
Wow. So, well, you're not still in the pawn business, are you?
No. So I own that I actually sold it last January. So I had that for 5 years. That was a run. American Pickers,
Yep.
Mike and whatever their name are, I did a lot of porcelain signs. So I got in heavy with porcelain signs and gas pumps and antiques and all that stuff. So I did shows. I went,
Wow.
throughout finding stuff, and there was a lot of big money in that. I was buying signs for $10,000-$15,000 and flipping them for $30,000-$40,000. And, there was a lot of money, but the pickers made it mainstream, right? So like anything, something pops up and it becomes mainstream. So the market got diluted. Everyone was trying to buy stuff and sell stuff. Prices went up. So I decided, because the pawn shop, I had two pawn shops at the time, and my market area was just capped, right? Sky was not the limit in that business. I could only make so much money per pawn shop per year, going full force, max 110% of my effort.
Yeah.
And I needed to find something else. And luckily,
I have a question though.
Yeah.
If I could interrupt you. Sorry. I mean, I hate it when people say sorry to interrupt. No, you're not. You interrupted me on purpose, you jerk. But here's the thing. I want to know this. Like, what's the most you made in a year in your pawn business? And how long were you in the pawn business? How many years?
I was in it for 5 years.
5 years. What's the most you made in 1 year?
The most we made was 550,000.
500 what?
$550,000.
Cleared?
We grossed $550,000.
What'd you clear? What do you make on that?
My pay was like 104,000.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of expenses, cost of goods sold. You hold an inventory.
I get it. But I want to make a point here. So 5 years prior to getting out of the pawn business, you were homeless.
Yeah. homeless,
And
nothing.
5 years later, and along that whole journey, well, the first year of sobriety, or first year of sobriety, you made $90,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you're at 100 and some odd $1,000 in just a matter of a few years. So
Yeah.
I want to make the point that, like, you can go from zero to hero by just changing your mindset, because that's what happens. I mean, that's when if you break it all down and say, okay, you went and got sober, what happened was your mindset completely shifted. And you went from being a drunk to being somebody that quit all that stuff and started focusing on what you're capable of, right? And dude, you started killing it.
Absolutely.
How long were you homeless after you started making $100,000 a year?
Not too long, But that's the thing. You bring that's the thing you need to remember, right? That 3-5 years previous, that's the stuff that keeps me going today. That keeps my fire burnt or lit, because I could go back to that at any time. I don't see it in the foreseeable future,
right?
But if I do the wrong thing, if I don't stay vigilant in my recovery, because that's top slot, that could happen. That could happen to me tomorrow.
Yep.
No joke. Done. I could lose everything, and I need to see that. I need to keep that in front of me, and that's what keeps me going today.
Wow.
So
at some point, you got out of the pawn business. What happened next?
Yeah, no. So I got out of the pawn business last year. I just sold it. But so in between that, in 2012, we were in my pawn shop. My business partner now, we were looking online. He was looking online, and he found someone that wanted to open a restaurant on Facebook. So he was just kind of poking along, and he was in the finance industry previous. He worked at a couple companies, and he saw something on Facebook, and he was like, you know what? I could probably place this guy in, a lease. I could figure this out. I could broker this deal. So he decided to pitch me on opening a finance company. And he put together a business plan, a 7-page business plan, went over it with me and pushed it out and pitched it. And I ended up saying yes and giving him $3,000 to start a finance company. So this was in 2012. And literally he went in the basement. We had a pawn computer. We had a pawn phone. We had a desk down there. It was in November, so it was like 40 degrees in New Hampshire. He had his down jacket on, and he was busting out 400 phone calls a day, for the first 3 months.
Doing what? Who was he calling?
He's calling prospects. We call, we sell money literally to businesses. So we do short-term business loans. We do equipment financing. Wow. We do line of credit, SBA stuff. So across the board, we do that all. So he hopped on the phone, cold calling, literally for 3 months, nothing happened.
Wow.
And, at that point, what do you do? That's the 3 months in is the time where you're like, am I really? You start doubting yourself. You start doubting your skills. You start doubting life, right? So he went from making $272 at a pawn shop working for me to, making $300 sitting in a basement cold, making phone calls, being miserable. But then it happened, right? Like anything, if you put in the work, if you put in the blood, sweat, and tears, shit happens. And, that one deal, he came running up the stairs. I can remember like it was yesterday, his little feet running up from the basement and literally yelling at the top of his lungs, I closed one. And he literally, the first deal closed. We got paid a pretty decent commission for placing this customer in the right product for his business. And, that's when Everlast Capital was born, right? And we started, hiring people. We had 4 people in that basement. Don't tell OSHA. I don't know if that's quite legal, but literally had cubicles down there. There was 4 people, and there was only 4 seats. And we just started plugging away and doing something that I had no clue how to do. But as, the mindset grows, you learn to adapt. You learn to do it. You learn to, what is it? Fly or flee or whatever that saying is. Fight or flee.
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. And we learned it. We learned it quickly, and we had to learn it quickly because we started in an industry, with big boys, with big banks, with people with deep pockets. We couldn't afford to make mistakes. And then, 2013, we just grew, started hiring people, moved an office, started with 600 square feet, moved to 800 square feet, moved to 1,000 square feet, and, started to develop a business, a real business. It was just like a dream at first, but then it developed into a real business.
Wow.
It's just, it's unbelievable how, that short amount of time, like you prefaced before, that you can just change your life and change your attitude, change your mindset, and you get into a situation where you can help change other people's life, change other people's mindset, lead other people, and help people build their families, help people buy their houses, buy their cars. Material things, they don't matter, but, seeing people happy, seeing people support their family, seeing people not have to worry about their bills.
Right.
That feels good. That feels good.
Yeah. Uh-oh. You still with me? Just froze up. There you are. I see you now. I can't hear you. Are you talking?
No, I'm not talking anymore.
Okay. All right, you're back. So you were, like, you guys were you were 50-50 partners in this then?
Yeah, no, so there was another partner that, that's where life and business and things go awry, right? Relationships, business partnerships are very, very difficult.
Very.
Right? There's a lot of things that, go into a relationship that you have to work on. And if you don't work on that, if you don't talk, if you don't converse, if you don't bring up things that are bothering you, if you don't do that stuff, stuff's going to go bad, and it's going to go bad quick. So, he was a partner in my pawn shop. We split up, and thus, we split up in this business too. He's pretty much, not involved in the company.
This is the guy that started the cold calling?
No.
Oh, somebody else. Okay.
And he's my business partner today, but, he's still a minority holder in the company, but he does his own thing, and, it is what it is. Sometimes you have to do what you got to do, to move on, and we decided to do that. And, since then, 2013, 2014, so 2013, we funded, I think it was $600,000 in business loans and equipment financing. 2014, we funded $14 million in loans and equipment financing.
Whoa.
2015. Yeah, we grew quick. We grew fast.
Hold on, you went from 600,000 to 14 million in 1 year?
Yeah. No, that was 2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
So it was 6.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then last year we were named the fastest growing company in New Hampshire.
Uh-oh. You're frozen again.
So,
you there? Hold on. I lost you.